For any of you who are confused about what I've done so far, this orange string allows me to tell whether this concrete form is in the right position this way. The tape measure tells me if the form is in the correct position this way. And then the laser that I set up over there and this receiver tells me if I'm not blocking the laser. It tells me whether I'm in the right position up or down. Getting too dark, so I'm gonna pack things up and pick up on this tomorrow. Time to jack up the cabin again. All right, I'm satisfied with the placement of my concrete forms. I got the dobbies and rebar in each one of them. And I just finished a general common sense walk around. That's kind of a best practice that I like to do. Just do a general review of everything, like, okay, what am I doing here? I'm replacing the beams. I gotta lift up the cabin. In the process of lifting up the cabin, I gotta make sure it's level. And I'm gonna be doing skirting, so the framing has to be correct. So the spacing of the posts ends up being correct. So I space them every 4 feet. Did I do that? Is that actually the case? Okay, let me measure. Where is 4 feet from the edge of the cabin? Just like all the things that I know that I've been repeating for weeks on end, I repeat them one more time and just take a step back, look at everything and say, okay, this looks good, it makes sense, and now we can proceed. So now the next step is to mix and pour the concrete, finally. I thought it was going to take 4 bags, but it looks like it takes closer to 3, so I should have extra concrete, which is always nice. It is now the following morning, February 27th. Let's take a look at what this concrete looks like now. It's starting to harden, but I could chip away at it if I wanted to. So I'm gonna give it a lot more time, but luckily today and then the following day are gonna be sunny and about 60 degrees. That means I can leave all of these uncovered. I don't have to put the Tyvek on for a couple days. I can let them get some sun exposure. It was the 26th when I poured it, the 27th the day after when I showed you that footage, and now it's the 28th. 2 full days since I mixed and poured the concrete. If I wasn't making a video about this and worried about releasing it on a certain date and time, I would just leave this to dry for several more days. So that's actually what I'm gonna do, but I decided I'm just going to strip this one form here, take it apart just so that we can see what the concrete looks like. It looks all right, but not really the way I wanted it to look around the base there. I should have done a better job mixing. It's kind of, see that hole right there? Up here, that looks pretty good. Let's look at this one on the opposite end. This is the last one that I did. Oh, man. It looks even worse. Yeah, it looks like I definitely needed to mix better, or I needed to make it more wet or something. That's a pretty big cavity there. That sucks. This is what it should look like around that whole edge. Lessons learned every single time I do something. Let's look at this one that's right in the middle of the cabin. That looks even crappier. Shit. I think my concrete needed to be way more wet. Oh boy. This one's a lot better. Man, I felt good, just like I feel good about a lot of the things I do. I'm just confident in my abilities, and I think I do a decent job of thinking through all the steps, like, hey, don't screw this up or else you're gonna have to do it over again. And I don't like to do things over again, but I'm coming to the realization that I might have to do this all over again because it looks really bad. It's not a good job. If I hired somebody to do this job for me and they started and I left and I came back and they said, all right, boss, it's done, and I walked up to the job site and I looked at that, I would tell them to rip that out and do it all over again because I paid you to pour me some concrete pier pads and those look like shit. And you got to do it over again. And so that's the way I treat myself. I'm my own boss, and that's crap. I did a bad job. Now, I have multiple thoughts going on when I look at the state of things out there. I think if I installed my posts and beams and set the cabin down on it, I think it would hold. It would be strong enough. If it's a big chunk of concrete and the weight of the cabin is going to go right in the center of that. So while the edges look pretty bad and weak, I just don't imagine that thing like me setting the cabin down on it and then it crumbling and just like disintegrating. I don't think that would happen. But here's the thing. There's a good chance that I'm not going to own this cabin forever, and I may sell it one day. And on the day that I potentially sell it, I would be walking around and I would be showing the potential buyer everything that I've done here. And if I was the buyer of the cabin and I saw those concrete pads all installed and, you know, everything's done, the job is completely done, I would be like, that does not look correct. That does not look stable. It would just not be good. And so everything that I'm doing here, I want to raise the value of the cabin, and that doesn't achieve that goal. It's not good. So I got to do it over again. right, everybody, it's the next day, March 1st, and I'm gonna do this all over again. And it's gonna cost me $143 plus the gas, plus 1 day of my life that I'm not gonna get back. 4 bags left, 1 more footing to go. Looks like I'm gonna have just enough concrete.
please somebody, and it's not us.
On my way back to the cabin on town day, I'm gonna stop by my friends, the South family, and then we're gonna head over to Al's house. Axel's making Al an apple pie as a thank you for watching after his chickens while they were gone. So it'll be good to catch up with everybody, hang out a little bit.
Hey. Nice. All right, the promised pie.
Baked to perfection tonight. I like the crispy crust.
Yeah.
Semi-soft in the middle. You got it just right. Did you have a lot of seafood growing up, Al?
Yeah. Yeah, we lived right on the coast. My girlfriend used to work in a lobster pound. I'd go down and get free lobster sandwiches whenever I wanted.
Wow.
Lobster roll, they call them.
Oh, was it like a
hot dog bun? Just
right.
stuffed full of lobster.
Like a Subway sandwich kind of thing?
Oh, God, they were good. No frozen stuff or anything back then.
Get 7. Oh! Feels like I've been here before, at least once before, stripping these forms. Oh, moment of truth. Here we go. That's all. Oh yeah, that's money right there. All right, everybody, this is the aftermath. After all that work, let's take a closer look. The second attempt on this concrete was obviously much more successful. You can definitely tell on this one how a more wet pour helps mold the concrete to the surface underneath it. It fills in all the gaps. All the packing that I did with the 2x4 and the hammering with the hammer helped remove much more of the air bubbles that were present on the first pour. I mean, just look at the comparison between that one and this is the first one. It's not even close. This one sucks. That one's awesome. Pretty much the same story as we work our way down towards this end. These ones look about the same. I could say a lot to wrap up this video because obviously I learned a lot from my first attempt and then I applied the things that I learned on my second attempt, and many of those lessons that I learned you could just see visually. Like I said before, I genuinely thought I was doing a good job on that first attempt. I've mixed concrete before, and just like every other time when you start mixing and adding water, you just do it in stages and you mix and you mix and you go, okay, this is too dry, I need more water. And then you mix it a little bit more and you go, go, okay, that's more moist, but it's not moist enough. And I thought that first go around, I had the perfect consistency. I thought I did a good job, but it appears that you want to err on the side of moisture, wetness, so that it fills in all the cavities. And when it's more moist, it's easier to pack in with whatever tool you're using. I was just using a 2x4. So consistency is a huge key. Another thing is the very first wheelbarrow full, I put 4 bags in there. That was a lot. That's too much concrete to try and mix in a wheelbarrow at one time. So from then on, I think I decreased it to 3 bags. I did a lot of that first pour doing 3 bags at a time, but then the second go around, I was just like, you know what, 2 bags at a time. I'm gonna take my time, make it a little bit easier on myself. All of the work that I did, I'm not gonna let it go to waste, because as I said before, I think these are still good for something. I would build a structure on top of those. I think they're fine. They're just really ugly, but I have 9 of them. Jesus. 9 would work out perfectly for building a sauna cabin or a pump house for a future property that I have. A pump house is something that you would like have your water pressure tank and filters, maybe a battery bank, you know, that type of stuff. When you're developing a property, you need some sort of an outbuilding, and 12 by 12 is a really good size. And so I could use 9 already poured concrete footings for a post and beam small structure. So not only do I already have all these pre-poured concrete footings, but I also have the forms too that I stripped and cleaned off, so those can also be used in the future. These have been drying for a total of 5 days as of right now, and I think I want to let them dry for another week before I install my posts and beams and put any sort of weight on them. Most people say with this time of weather that we're having in the spring here in Washington, you can do that within a week, but I want to wait a little bit longer. People also say 30 days is when the concrete reaches its maximum strength, but I also don't want to wait 30 days and keep the cabin jacked up on these temporary beams for a full 30 days. So I'm going to find a happy medium and wait 2 weeks before I do the install of the posts and beams. Now that all that concrete work is done, it's time to move on to the next phase, and you guys will see that on the next video. Thanks for watching this one. Appreciate it. See ya. Bye.